to the Doctor Who Marathon. I'm your host McEdam, and today we're going to be talking about the Torchwood Series 2 episode, Meet, written by Catherine Tigana and is directed by Colin Teagues, who makes his final Torchwood directorial story in this adventure. Now, this is a very important story in the dynamic of Torchwood, as we've had a few episodes focused on all the Torchwood teams. We had some focus on Yanto, we've had some on Owen, Jack, Gwen, Toshika, but we're finally getting into Rhys, the partner of Gwen, and this is his story, his adventure. It's actually him becoming a much more prominent character as he becomes aware of the dynamic, shall we say. This also deals with the concept of an organization, shall we say, and the meat industry. Now, what I find really hilariously ironic about this story is that a few years after this story, well, I say a few years, it was a couple of years after this story, there was a huge controversy with horse meat. I don't know if a lot of people remember that. That was a thing, especially in the UK, and how that incident kind of reflects how this story is really bizarre. It's really strange. So this story retroactively has a much more topical feel because it's something that the UK anyway has dealt with. The concept, not really, obviously no aliens and stuff, but just the concept of it, of the villain's plot, shall we say. It's really something that has been mirrored in the real world, shall we say? That's very bizarre. This story is one of the Torchwood stories that everybody says you gotta watch. You've gotta watch Out of Time, you've gotta watch Sleeper, and you've gotta watch Meet. Oh, and Countryside as well. That's like the big ones. This is one of the big ones. So a lot of fans absolutely loved it. Doing it for this marathon was actually the first time I've ever watched this story. Did I enjoy? Yes, I did. This is a fantastic piece of work. The pre-credit sequence has Rhys go into. He's on the phone because he basically organised a delivery company. He has his own little vans, his own little crew, and he's heard that one of his crew members has had an accident on the road, and so he's going in to basically investigate, only to discover that the person who works for him had passed away. He crashed, he died in this car crash. But when Rhys tries to organise something with the police, saying that, I work for the company, I need to sort out moving the meat. And the police is like, sorry, we can't do that. There's something odd, there's something shifty about that meat. And so Torchwood has come to investigate. And so he sees the car driving past as we see the Torchwood team, including Gwen, stepping out of the van. And it's here that it clicks. She's been lying to him this whole time, leading into our credits. That is a great opener. That really just sets up the ideas and the concept of this story. This story is about relationships and lies and the bonds that bind us together as well. And how this story and how Torchwood just affects the people it's involved in, the relationships that they do. Owen tries to follow them, but sadly they're on the other side of the car accident. We quickly learn that this meat is way too huge. Unless somebody's been breeding massive cows, then this is clearly some sort of alien meat, and they go and take it down to the hub, to which Owen tries to follow but fails. The Torchwood team, they examine the meat, and it's clearly alien, and it's going into a processing warehouse where it gets made into pies, into into pasties and all that kind of stuff, you know, the meat industry. And so the torture team trying to discover what's going on, trying to take down anybody who is breaking the law, essentially, because, you know, meat in it. And so the big question, of course, is why would anyone do this? Is this some sort of alien incursion? Is somebody using the meat to spawn the virus and stuff? But Owen says no. It's technically perfectly healthy to eat. He won't eat it, but it is apparently perfectly healthy. And it's also here that they learn that the company that was running the van was Owen's company. And that puts in a massive shift into Gwen's and her relationship with the rest of the torture team, because she trusts Reese. She is like, no, Reese will not do this. He does not lie to me. But the torture team are a little bit like, they look at each other, they give themselves each other little glances, implying that they can't really trust Gwen's judgment because she is just fatuously in love with him. Oddly, in terms of, I don't know if there's a directing or pacing, I don't know if there's a deleted scene, it feels like it. You see Jack hand Toshika a piece of paper as Gwen's talking on the phone. And I feel like Toshika was supposed to open that. There's supposed to be a secret message that the torture team are trying to hide from Gwen, as if they're going to use her. But Gwen, because she is supposed to be the soul of the team, as Jack kind of puts it. She is the one that grounds them. She's the one that makes them remember what they're fighting for. And this then becomes a massive clash of relationships, because Gwen, her relationship with Owen and her relationship with Torchwood, vastly different. And the torture team are trying to do their best to try and think of this as how this will affect Gwen, but you can kind of see in Jack specifically that their first priority is, if it's aliens, stop it. If Reese is a part of it, stop him, and we have this shift in dynamic. Owen rings Gwen, and she gets into the house and makes sure that he's all right. Jack is like, "Oh, good. You can ask him what he knows and stuff." And Gwen's like, "I didn't mean it like that. I'm not checking him up on like that. Just checking up how is he? Is he okay?" And she goes to meet him in the house, where it's quickly that, you know, she keeps a lie. She doesn't tell Owen about her being at the site which he saw her at the start of the episode. And then clearly there is this gap in their relationship. There's this dynamic, and the acting in this story from the guy who plays Reese, I can't remember who the actor's name, I do apologise, and Eve Miles, who plays Gwen, they're on top notch. Like, some scenes are just so perfect. They are so into the roles that I am so privileged to watch them work. It's really fantastic performances here. But Gwen then quickly leaves. It's like, all right, okay, you're okay. She kind of learns that somebody employed to him has been killed. Well, he died on having a car accident, and then tries to cheer him up, but then it's like, right, I've got to go back to work. And then Owen uses this opportunity to follow her. I think that was his plan all along, to ring her up and follow her to find out what's going on. Gwen and the tortured team are basically, they've tracked down this warehouse, and Owen has followed them without them knowing. So the tortured team go in first, pointing their guns around, looking around, trying to find any evidence of where this meat is coming from. But Gwen and Jack find Owen wandering around trying to get up his phone, and he bumps into a crew of black dealers, of people, you know, pretty shifty people. And from Gwen and Jack's point of view, it looks like he's a part of them. and there's this debate with Gwen and Jack, in which Jack is like, look, he is working with them. There is nothing you can do. If he is in trouble, if he is at risk, you just gotta wait until he comes out. But if not, then he's working for them. He is a part of them, and you've got to be ready to defend Earth from your own boyfriend, and you got to prepare yourself. I also, as much as I like this scene as a great dynamic, there is an implication of some sort of romance. Now, it's not like a hugely implicit in this story. It's only in literally 2 scenes, but Jack kind of gives Gwen these glances, and even in this scene, he's kind of posting up to the wall, and they're kind of like googling at each other, and it kind of implies that there's some sort of feelings there. I don't know how to feel about that. The second time it happens, you can quickly wrap it off as just he's incredibly concerned, and you could take that way into another point of view. But here, it is seemingly that's the implication. But I like to just think that, like, you know, he just really cares for Gwen. Like, he really cares for his team. That's Jack. He puts his team above anything else. And with Gwen having this conflict in her, Jack is like, I need you to pull through. I need you to strengthen. So Reese then learns that these people, they are this, they've been selling this massive chunk of meat, and they're clearly a shifty bunch. They have weapons and guns. They interrogate him, believing he's the cops originally, but Owen obviously doesn't want to blow Gwen's cover, states that he saw that his friend died. He learned about this meat industry, and he wants to join their crew, and is like, I want to know what's going on. And so they kind of trust him, and it's here that we discover that the meat is coming from a giant slug-like creature, an alien creature, which is seemingly immortal, and they keep cutting him up, and it can regenerate, so it's making more and more meat, and that's how they're making chunks of it. And these people, they basically harness this meat and sell it off, and it has basically an unlimited supply of meat, and that's what their goals are. Now, this is very interesting because, like I said, this story can retroactively be how governments treat like the meat industry works, because something very similar happened in real life with horse meat getting mixed up in other sorts of meat, and that is to cut costs. They change the meats in a way that they don't tell the people involved, and that is a very interesting concept. And it's one of those things that I think when this story aired out, I think a lot of people might have criticised this plot, thinking it might have been a bit too stupid. It's like, how the hell did anyone not check that this alien meat is going out? But now, knowing that something very similar happened years later, like, the bad guy's plot doesn't seem so crazy anymore. Like, it's all about cutting costs from their point of view. They started this organisation on lies and deception in a way of quickly gaining a few bucks, like with the horse issue, in which horse meat got mixed up with regular meat, and nobody was told for a while, due to the fact, we want to keep things going, we want to, this way is much cheaper, but nobody would eat our meat if they knew it was horse meat or alien meat in this matter. So that's just a very, very interesting concept, and I really like this. I wish that the villains had a bit more personality. They are just kind of thugs. There's never like a head. I mean, there is kind of like a leader, but again, the whole villains just feel like thugs. And it's the main plot is about Reese connecting with the tortured team. because he goes back to the flat, and Gwen goes back into the flat because Reese was shown to be left alone, unharmed, giving him more suspicions that Reese is actually a part of it. So they confront each other. Gwen is like, "What the hell were you doing in that warehouse? Don't tell me, what are you doing there with that guy with the long coat? Are you sleeping with him? I went there because I followed you, because I was concerned, and you keep lying to me. So what the hell's going on?" And this is the scene, I think, where the acting is just immense. It's just absolutely amazing. And the drama is put up to 10, but we've had the story so far it's great because the story so far in this one episode justifies it. But if you've been watching the series up to this point, it feels a lot more deserving as well. It's something that works both as a standalone episode and part of a continuing adventure. We've seen a few episodes in which Reese is having a debate with Gwen and her work and how it's drifting them apart, like in Out of Time, and I can't remember if it's the one with the I can't remember, but anyway, there's a few episodes where this is an issue, and so this scene is like a build up on that. It's finally letting the pin out, shall we say, and just letting all the emotions just run wild, and the actors are giving it their best, and it's just phenomenal, great acting. And it's here that Gwen reveals that she works for Torchwood. Torchwood investigates aliens, and so she invites him to go to Torchwood Hub. And the Torchwood team, for the moment, are a bit nonchalant about it, apart from Jack, who is starts off really angry at Reese, as if like, you will not, you blew our cover, you did everything you could to try and nose at our business, and because of that, you've basically ruined our plan. But Reese is like, if you listen to me and stop bragging and stop showing off, you'll learn that I'm actually giving you a way to get into the business, into a much more safer route inside their organization. And I can also tell you where they are, because now I've seen everything. I know what they're doing. And so we get basically the second part of the emotional debate. The first half of the episode is mainly about the Torchwood team not really trusting Gwen's judgment and Reese, and Gwen then kind of caught in the conflict. But now it's all about letting Reese be a part of the team, essentially, or at least in this episode, as Reese basically is doing his best to try and actually help the Torchwood team. He kind of hates the fact that Gwen has been keeping lying, and he clearly shows his anger, but he understands that like what Gwen is doing is the right thing, and these people are shifty, and that, you know, I'm going to risk my life to help you. And the Torchwood team, Jack, is actually considering it. It's like, you are a good way opening in, you are willing to help, why not? But Gwen says no. There is no way she is letting her boyfriend, her husband, her fiance, into the line of fire. And she kind of gets the impression, it's like, she doesn't, you know, he's not thinking about it. This isn't fun and games. This is real. Real people can get hurt. Real people you can get killed. But Reese, whether he's thinking about it nonchalantly, like he's like just angry, he's pissed, and he just needs to like get involved, or he's doing this because, you know, he wants to help Gwen, is kind of like debatable. I love how the scenes imply either way, and it's just really great, great storytelling right there. You know, the dynamic changes completely after the reservation of Reese joining basically the Torchwood team. It doesn't feel kind of strange how just moments ago they were suspicious of Reese, and now all of a sudden they're like, okay, he can help us in, he can help us with fine. That's kind of strange, but I understand that we only got an episode to tell this story, and for what it's worth, what we get instead is also very dramatically interesting. And so we kind of get a little of a heist as Reese goes back in, and the torture team basically sneak into the building, and they discover this massive whale slug thing, and they see that like basically the inside is just completely like hollowed out, but this creature's alive. It's still in pain. Also, I forgot to mention, one of my favourite scenes is the meeting, because Jack originally is like, right, Reese, you can join, and Gwen's like, don't you care that, you know, he could get hurt? But then when it comes to the alien creature, and the torture team is like, right, we're going to take this, we're going to kill it, we're going to harness it for to defend the Earth from the future, and Jack's just like, no, we're going to keep it contained, yes, but when we find a way to take it back home, that's what we're going to do. There is no way that we are harming this creature as much as it neededly as possible, and it might be an alien living being, but it's still a living being. And Gwen just turns to Jack and is like, so you do have a heart after all. Showing that Jack's dynamic with aliens is a lot different from the rest of the crew. And what I especially like about this is that this is actually a great contrast to the previous Doctor Who marathon video I made, Something in the Water, the novel, the Torchwood novel, in which Owen kind of has a completely opposite reaction. He's the type of person who would shoot first because the rest of the Torchwood team might be a little more sympathetic. But here it's the other way around. Here, Jack is the only one empathetic to alien creatures because he understands that just because it's alien doesn't automatically mean it's evil, doesn't automatically mean that we get the right to harvest them. It's still a living creature, and we are going to do our best to save it. It's a rescue mission. That is just powerful stuff. I feel then the final half of the episode, the final third then, shall I say, in which they're in the meat factory, is kind of the weakest part. We have this whole really some great shots, even if the CGI really doesn't hold up well, of the torture team basically not only a marvel, but also there's this great sadness that this creature is completely torturous, and it seems very little that there's a chance that they would even get out, and the more and more the episode progressed, that kind of becomes relevant. The thugs discover the Torchwood are involved, and slowly they start capturing them. They get Reese basically realising, like, right, they got in because of Reese. They capture Yanto. It's strange how they didn't have... This would have been a great time to have a love scene, or at least like a moment of realisation with Jack. And it's like, whatever you do, don't hurt Yanto. He is my lover. But nothing like that ever occurs. It's here then where it's really like the story tries to give the main thug, the leader, shall we say, some sort of character in which they're like, you don't want to do this, and he kind of describes it like, I need it for the money, I need this business, and he originally thinks that Torchwood is a rival company that wants to steal their meat so that they can start this organisation themselves. Very topical, very interesting in terms of the plot and the ideas of the narrative. However, this villain as a character is essentially non-existent. He does... I think mainly because there's only one scene really dedicated to him that make, in this kind of way, in this story, that still kind of makes him feel like a thug, if that makes any sense. So there's not really a main villain, just a handful of nameless people. Actually, I think they were named, but I can't remember their names. And basically the story is like they keep lying because Yanto says there's only two of them, him and Reese. But then Gwen, after they threaten Reese to shoot in the head if you don't come out, then does Gwen come out from the shadows? Like, don't shoot, don't need any bloodshed. And she goes, oh, it's only us three, there's no one else. And then Jack and Toshika get outed as well. And so, because of that, they basically threaten and they're about to shoot Gwen, only for Reese to actually jump and take the bullet. Now, Torchwood is known for its CSI cheesy factor. You know, you got the city, like people in, it's supposed to be like a secret organization, but they've got these long leather jackets and sometimes they wear these sunglasses and they just bash into doors with guns, very unsubtle. And the whole taking a bullet for someone cliche is a big part of that corniness. Whether Torchwood did it intentionally or if it was it didn't realise and it was being one of the more just cliched, I think that's debatable. But I feel like this episode did justify that moment, and I feel like it basically, right there and then, everybody knows where they are in the Tortured team. Because at the end, they basically, Owen has to basically kill the creature because there is no way this creature's going to survive. He's basically putting it out of its misery, a mercy kill, and the Tortured team just break down. They have lost. They might have won the battle, but they have lost the fight. No, wait, I think I said that the other way around. They won the fight, but they lost the battle. And so they retcon all of these thugs, and it's up to Gwen now to basically retcon. And I love how you could see in everybody's faces that this is a hard, and they kind of feel like this is unjustified. Gwen also feels like unjustified. I think everybody does at this point, but it's kind of like you know, we can't let Reese with this alien information. We'll have to retcon him. I know none of us want to do this, and it sucks, and I know Gwen has to do it, but that's, you know, that's the thing. And I love that we get a small little moment of Reese. He's so fascinated by the fact that there's alien creatures. He looks out in the world and is just amazed, astonished by the fact that he's met an alien creature, and there are aliens, there are billions of life forms out there, and that just fills him with glee, and I love it. And Gwen can't take that away from him, and so she runs back to the Torchwood hub, gives Jack back the pill, and it's like, I am not going to do it. You will not let me retcon him, even if that means putting me at risk as well of being retconned. He is more braver than anyone, because we signed up for this. We knew what we were getting up to. He didn't. He just did this not to save the planet, not because of any pride or thing. He did it because he loved Gwen, and she cannot take that away from him. And Jack is like, you really want to put Reese in front of the team, and it's and he says something which clearly indicates that the decision of like retconning Gwen would probably hurt him more than Gwen herself, because, you know, Gwen wouldn't even remember it. So yeah. Also, I forgot to mention the second scene in which it's kind of implied of a love thing, as Gwen and Reese are snogging in the Tortured hub, and Gwen then kind of looks at Jack as Jack kind of looks at them. But you can also kind of see that scene, and it could also indicate it's like Jack is feeling horrible for the fact, you know, Gwen gets this this relationship, but he can't, even though Yanto is a thing in this it's been established so far. So that's kind of like a fling at the moment. Don't know why they didn't bring it up, but anyway. Oh, I forgot to mention as well, there's another subplot here, as Toshika, as basically she's pushing her relationship with Owen more throughout a few episodes in series 1 and series 2. It's not really consistent, but like it's like in a handful of episodes do we witness that, like, you know, she has feeling for Owens, and that you know, she's trying to hint to him in certain scenes. But it's here where it becomes really prominent. And if this was in any other story, I would have felt like this was out of place. and could have easily been better placed in a story which kind of focuses on it. However, the ideas here, the topic of this, of relationships in this adventure, of how Torchwood is in a buckle, or at least that's how it's led to believe, but Reese has shown that that cannot be the case. They can have lives outside of Torchwood. They can mingle with other people and have a decent love life with Torchwood. In Torchwood, it's a healing process for most of the crew members, especially in episodes like Cyberwoman, where basically the loyalty of Torchwood is basically thrusted onto our characters. So this is kind of like the first episode which heals the character's emotional impact. And so this subplot doesn't actually feel out of place here, because Toshika, she's kind of seeing what's happening with Reese, which is infecting her judgment, and she's like, right, if Gwen can have this relationship, maybe I can as well. And you can there's a lot of scenes like she makes Reese sandwiches. She kind of implies, like, we could go for a pool, but Reese clearly doesn't get it. Like, he is like, oh yeah, that's cool. Maybe we can have a Torchwood pool game with all of us. We'll invite everybody. Until she gets like, oh. Like, like she's, the relationship there isn't obvious to him. It's clearly, at this point, it's kind of one-sided. And so, and the ending of this story in which, Gwen had to had to retcon, but then she refuses, and Jack, with all these emotions, and he knows that what Reese has done for them, and knows what Gwen is going through, lets her keep Reese's memory. I'll see you tomorrow. And that is the gateway. I feel like, hopefully, I could be wrong, but I feel like this could be the start of an era in Torchwood. I mean, most of these characters are only in series 1 and 2, so maybe it gets paid off in this series, and fingers crossed. But I feel like this story is a gateway for other characters to express more, to feel more, and we get a lot less episodes of characters boppling in, and a lot more characters releasing their emotions and stuff. That's what I hope, anyway. So Reese is now I don't know if he's part of the Torchwood team, that's remains to be seen, but he's now a prominent character who knows about Torchwood, and the dynamic between her, Reese and Gwen, and their lie between each other, that's now gone from the series. So there you go, that's Meat. Overall, it's a really great story. The villains are kind of weak, but the story isn't about the villains. It's not like the writer was trying to make like the next big Daleks or something. They're just thugs, and the whole point of them in the plot is just their part in the plot. We get some great scenes, great dynamic. It's greatly paced, it's greatly written, and we see Reese's point of view, giving us a character we've only seen snippets of before. In fact, he's had a few episode gaps at this moment, and this story really shows that Reese is a great character, and something that really didn't actually really need to be needed, because he is kind of a side character. He's only really there to give Gwen some baggagery, and you can have good baggage characters. That is his part in the story of Torchwood. But here he has become a bigly relevant character, and I hope we see more of Reese after this. So there you go, that's Meat. So join me next time when the Torchwood team are surprised, or at least one or two characters are, as there's a member of the team that some of them remember hang around all their lives, and some of them seem like they've only met him yesterday. So join me next time for Adam, and I'll see you next time on the Doctor Who Marathon. Ta-ra!